welcome to ShakeTube episode 14. Yeah, so this feels really weird right now. I've been moving for the last week and a half. I mentioned during the Macbeth episode that was going to be the last episode in that apartment, and so here we are in the new house. I haven't quite figured everything out yet. This is my office. You can see this really spectacular wallpaper behind me. We're pretty pumped about that, but I have some instruments scattered around. The rigging on the camera is super weird right now, so I have no idea how this is going to go. This is really a test, and so this episode might not be that long because of it. Plus, I'm really behind halfway through the week of what should be the week of The Tempest, but today we're talking about Antony and Cleopatra. I'm like looking down now. I'm not going to lie, moving totally demoralized me. I just had no passion for reading. I had passion for opening boxes and moving things around, which has left me pretty exhausted. I'm excited to see how the channel kind of forms from here. I think this is going to be the regular background, but I did end up finishing Antony and Cleopatra today, and I remember I had mentioned that I was excited about this because it's supposed to be a sequel to Julius Caesar, but it didn't quite feel like that. Of course, a lot of the characters are the same, but they end up acting quite different here. Like with Antony, it almost felt like he was a totally different person for this play in particular, and he was a pretty compelling part of Julius Caesar, but here obviously there are more motivations. He doesn't have any of those speeches where he's kind of playing with the masses. He's really getting played by Cleopatra. That happens time and time again. He's supposed to be leading a fleet at sea, and Cleopatra turns around and he just follows her. It's just kind of a different atmosphere for this character, and there are obviously a lot of other characters that are coming into play here as well. We had the triumvirate leaders in Julius Caesar as well, but here they're actually fully into power, and I think that dynamic really makes a big difference here, because in Julius Caesar, something that I liked so much about it was the fact that it was an ensemble cast of characters, and the only true leader was Julius Caesar, but he wasn't that big of a part of the play because obviously he gets murdered so much earlier. But here you do have an ensemble again, but so many of these characters are in power, and that's a totally different vibe for an ensemble play like this. God, I'm just so weirded out by being here that I don't know if I'm rambling or not. We're in Julius Caesar, where you really had the underbelly of these cast of characters where they're kind of operating in the shadows and they're all trying to get into power in one way or another. Like I said, everybody is in power here, and the dynamic among all of the characters is so much different because they all have had that taste of power already. And it gets even more interesting because not only do you have all of the leaders in Rome, you have the leaders of the Mediterranean pirates, you have Cleopatra in Egypt, and it's so interesting to see the fact that they are leaders, but that they lead in such a different way because of the different societies that they come from. And that was something that was pretty cool to see, but I don't know that you necessarily get the best representation from each of those societies because you're just getting it from the top, and so they don't really act in a way that they are pulling from the different aspects of each of their societies. You get it from being in those surrounding areas, but because they have so much control and power over everyone else, I don't think that it's a good representation overall, but that does add an interesting aspect to this play. In a lot of other Shakespeare plays, you have leaders, but there's just one, and then maybe a succession after that. But there are so many here, and it's so unique, but it gets to a point where some of these scenes get almost comical. I say that because there were a bunch of scenes in the end where I actually started chuckling when it was supposed to be a really dramatic moment, like when Antony's dying and his last wish is just like, get me some wine, and Cleopatra's like, no, I got something I want to say first. And then you also have Octavius at the end where he starts to talk about how much he respects Antony and respects Cleopatra and tried to play this good guy, but then regardless, he's just like, well, I'm going to show it all off anyway. There's just so many instances like this where they just start acting just so goofy because they have no humility because of their positions. And I just found that a lot of the dramatic moments of the play suffered because of that. A lot of it was just goofy overall. You had Antony doing a lot of these various acts just because he was in love with Cleopatra, and everybody's just trying to win wars in one way or another. And it just never felt like I was emotionally invested. But regardless, it did keep the entire play complex. There are so many different characters to follow here. Even the minor characters you have, like the messenger, for instance, comes in and tells Cleopatra that Antony is going to be married to Octavia. Actually, I think he's already married at this point, and she just starts beating him. But he's a huge character in that moment and comes back and kind of develops a semi-rapport with Cleopatra. I don't know how much of a rapport you can really have with somebody like that, but he plays a semi-major role for a minor character, and that happens over and over again. And I can only imagine putting on a play like this would take so many different rehearsals, because a lot of times in plays you have time to find chemistry with all the different actors, and they happen to appear in the same scenes together over and over. But here it just kind of keeps cycling and cycling and cycling. And of course you have the two, Antony and Cleopatra, but apart from them, it just keeps seeming like there are so many characters with so many lines, and it feels like this would be pretty difficult. And I think that it would be worth seeing because of that. If you can get an all-star cast, this could be a smash hit. But as it stands, it didn't pull me in as much as a lot of the other plays that we had read previously for ShakeTube. I know that this is getting into late era Shakespeare, and I don't think that I really have as much experience with that. I know that I had read some of his late works already, but it felt like I had some more familiarity with a lot of his earlier works upon getting into ShakeTube at the beginning. And so it might take some more appreciation for his style at this time to really get the most out of this play. I don't think I had that, and like I said, I think I was expecting something different coming into this from Julius Caesar, a play that I really, really enjoyed earlier on during this read-along. But it was, like I said, complex. It kept it interesting, but there were so many moments that were just eye-roll inducing, and it might not make it to the top tier for me this time around. I don't know if any of that made sense. I'm feeling really weird in this room. I hope you enjoy the background. This could be it. I'm having a hard time accessing some of the bookshelves in the house for right now. I think that this adds a very different vibe, so we'll see how it goes moving forward. But this is the second to last episode of ShakeTube, which is crazy. I haven't been able to talk about it for quite a while. It feels like I haven't posted in forever, but we have one more to go, which is insane. Like I said in a previous video, we started this back in August, and here we are getting into December pretty soon here, and it's just crazy that we've read so many of these, and it's taken so much time, and it's been difficult, but it has also been very enjoyable. I'll have more thoughts on the entire experience later, not only in the next video, which is going to be the last one, but also I think I'm going to have a wrap-up / rating of all the plays after that. So I'm looking forward to kind of gathering my thoughts at that time and letting you know what it was like to immerse myself in all of this Shakespeare. But like I said, I don't know if I'm rambling, so until next time, this has been another episode of ShakeTube, and I will hopefully not have another delay, and we'll see you again on Friday. Thanks for watching. See you soon.